Welcome back, guys. The topic I am going to teach you today is nutrition in human beings, right? That means digestion in human beings. So let us start the topic. Now this is the diagram of the digestive system that is in your NCERT. We'll come to that later. पहले मैं आपको ये बता दूं कि what I will be taking in this chapter. पहले in this chapter first I will tell you the structure of human digestive system. So first I will let you know about the structure of human digestive system, right? And once I have told you the function, human digestive system, and once I have taught you the structure, then I am going to tell you the process of digestion. So this is how the chapter is going to be divided. So आज in my today's lecture, I am going to give you an elaborate description of the structure of the human digestive system, and in my next class, that is the part 2 of this lecture, I am going to give you the entire description of the entire process of nutrition in human beings. So first lecture is structure and the second lecture is regarding the function. ठीक? So let us start with human digestive system. Now you must understand this. The moment I say human digestive system, what it is made up of? एक सिस्टम है, that means it is made up of more than one things. एक चीज याद रखना बेटा, जब भी हम वर्ड सिस्टम बोलते हैं, that means it is made up of more than one things. More than one things, they are actually working together to perform one function. ठीक? Then we use the word digestive. We use the word system. So we have used the word here, digestive system. In human beings, the digestive system is basically divided into two parts. One is the alimentary canal. आपने सुना होगा. Alimentary canal is nothing. It is a long tube-like structure जो आपकी बॉडी में माउथ से लेकर एनस तक कंटिन्यू करता है. This long tube-like structure that continues from the mouth to the anus, that is called the alimentary canal. Besides आपके digestive system में there are some associated digestive glands, right? जैसे यहाँ पर आप देख सकते हैं, there is a liver, then there is a pancreas. So it is not only the secretion of this tube called as alimentary canal. केवल इस alimentary canal के secretion से ही digestion नहीं होता. We require the help of some additional glands like the salivary gland, like the liver, like the pancreas, and these glands and this long tube which we call as alimentary canal, together it is called as your digestive system. So first I will give you a description of the human this alimentary canal, and then I am going to give you a description of the associated glands. The three main glands are the salivary gland, the liver and the pancreas, right? So let us start with alimentary canal. Alimentary canal is nothing beta, you can see this, it's a lovely diagram which shows that it is just one long tube which extends from the mouth to the anus. It's just one tube. देखिए कहीं पर भी रुक नहीं रहा है. It is just one tube. The only difference is the diameter of the tube varies from place to place. देखिए शुरू में it is like tube like, then we call it as esophagus, then it gets little broad, then we call it as stomach, then it gets thin, we call it as small intestine, and later it gets quite thickened, then we call it as the large intestine, and then it opens to the outside through the anus. That means alimentary canal आपका एक ही tube है जो माउथ से एनस तक जाता है. It is really very long. It is approximately 4 to 5 meters. जिसमें से आप देखिए केवल small intestine ये जो आपको दिखा रहा है, only the small intestine is approximately your 2 to 2.5 meters. आप समझते हैं, आप खुद 1 मीटर 1.5 मीटर से ज्यादा नहीं है, और आपके अंदर में सिर्फ इतनी जगह नीचे वाले स्पेस में, राइट, आपका डायफ्राम से नीचे वाला जो स्पेस हुआ है, दिस नीचे वाला स्पेस, यहाँ पर ये इलियम जो स्मॉल इंटेस्टाइन है वो 2.5 मीटर का आपका इतना जगह पर अरेंज है. ऑब्वियसली इट इज हाईली क्वाइट. सो इट इज जस्ट वन कंटिन्यूअस ट्यूब whose diameter varies at various points. Accordingly, each part is labeled as a different organ. Like esophagus is one organ, stomach is one organ, the intestine is a small intestine is one organ, large intestine is one organ, and when more than one organs they work together to perform one function, we call it as organ system, and that is why हम लोग यहाँ पर digestive system बोलते हैं, क्योंकि digestive system में आपका alimentary canal is made up of many organs, and at the same time it is made up of many organs plus it is made up of many digestive glands. So since more than one organ मिलकर एक काम कर रहा है, that of digestion, we call it as digestive system. Right? So digestive system का first part क्या है? Alimentary canal. मैंने बता दिया, it's a long tube-like structure which runs from the mouth to the anus. This tube varies in diameter. Accordingly, the different organs are named differently, and each organ has a specific function. सब अपना अलग अलग काम करते हैं, इसीलिए डाइजेशन का प्रोसेस हम में इतना इवॉल्व एंड इतना परफेक्ट है. ठीक, तो लेट अस स्टार्ट वन बाय वन टू ईच एंड एवरी पार्ट ऑफ दिस एलिमेंट्री कैनाल. So let me first start with, and so these are the digestive glands. I'm just showing. Alimentary canal के अलावा आपके पास digestive gland है, जिसमें से मेन है आपका salivary gland, liver and pancreas. ठीक, तो पहले हम start करेंगे with your alimentary canal. If you look at this diagram very carefully, ये मैंने आपके NCERT का ही diagram लिया है. Your alimentary canal actually starts first with mouth. हम mouth पढ़ेंगे. Then there is a long tube-like structure. This tube-like structure we call as esophagus. Now this esophagus will form the most distended, सबसे फूला हुआ, सबसे चौड़ा part. Now this will be called as stomach. ये stomach उसके बाद एक coiled structure में जाएगा, जिसको हम कहते हैं intestine. Intestine के पहले part को हम कहते हैं small intestine. फिर ये जो चौड़ा वाला हिस्सा है intestine का, this broadened part, this we call as the large intestine, and the large intestine via anus, it is connected to the outside. So these are the major parts of your alimentary canal. ठीक है, मैंने आपको यहाँ पर लेबलिंग भी दिखा दी आपके एनसीईआरटी के डायग्राम से. So now we'll move one by one. So first let us come to the mouth. Actually mouth है क्या? ये वाला डायग्राम को देखो. It is just a slit. Slit ऐसे लग रहा है अगर ये मेरा बंद होता, हमने चाकू लिया होता, काटा होता. This first cap, this is your mouth, and खुलने के बाद ये जो कैविटी बनता है, हाँ, this cavity is called as your buccal cavity. Right? This cavity is called as your buccal cavity. अब चलिए देखते हैं buccal cavity के major parts क्या क्या हैं. ठीक है, the buccal cavity में बेटा अभी अब जो हम आपको बता रहे हैं, this is completely outside your NCERT. मैं पढ़ाने के बाद I will have a discussion on your NCERT, and as I always say, पढ़ना NCERT ही for your marks. बोर्ड एग्जाम के लिए किसी के लिए भी पढ़िएगा एनसीईआरटी ओनली. वी टीच यू लिटिल एक्स्ट्रा सो दैट यू हैव एन इंटरेस्ट इन द टॉपिक. लेकिन पढ़ोगे एनसीईआरटी ही, उसमें क्या क्वेश्चंस बनेगा आई विल डिस्कस आफ्टर दिस थियरी पार्ट. सो अभी ये आपके इंटरेस्ट के लिए बहुत सारे पार्ट्स को लेबल करके बता रहे. सो दिस फर्स्ट पार्ट इज कॉल्ड एज वेस्टिब्यूल. जानते हैं ये वेस्टिब्यूल क्या होता है? वेस्टिब्यूल इज बेसिकली द पार्ट, जस्ट लुक एट दिस. Vestibule is the part between this lips, cheeks and the teeth. ये वाला जगह, right? This part is called as the vestibule. ठीक है, वेस्टिब्यूल ही वो पार्ट है जहां लोग टोबैको वगैरह को रखते हैं. This part is called as your vestibule. Below the vestibule you have your teeth. ठीक है, टीथ का रोल है डाइजेशन में डेफिनेटली. ये फूड को चर्न करता है, मिक्स करता है. उसके बाद when you open your mouth or the buccal cavity, यहां पर ऊपर की तरफ, this is called as palate. This part, ये जो ऊपर वाला पार्ट है, this is called as palate. Palate का फंक्शन क्या है बेटा? Palate फूड को ग्रिप बनाने में मदद करता है. It helps to provide grip. You put in the food in the mouth, and while you are chewing, it's not that the food will be swallowed immediately. The palate is little hard. आगे वाला palate is hard, and it helps to provide a grip so that the food remains in your mouth till you want it to remain. ठीक है? Now below this, in the lower part, if you see, this part is called as your tongue. Does the tongue has any role in digestion? Yes. Tongue has basically two major role in digestion. One, it helps in rotation of the food. Now what is rotation of the food? आप सोचो आपने खाने को मुंह में डाला, राइट? और मुंह में डालने के बाद आप यहाँ चबा रहे, तो जो खाना दांत के नीचे है, only that will be churned, and that food which is in the center, it will remain there. So tongue, what is it? It rotationally it brings the food under your teeth so that the entire food can be crushed. Right? So it basically helps in mixing of the food with the saliva, in rotation of the food, so that all the food they can get churned. Secondly, you know that the tongue has taste buds. and the taste buds, they help us give the taste of the food. So the main two functions of the tongue is it helps in mixing and rotation of the food, and second, it helps in your giving the taste, and third and most important, it also helps in swallowing. आप बोलोगे मैम how swallowing? I will give you an example. Now again you will try this once with me. You keep your tongue straight like this. है ना, दांत से ऐसे सटा दो like this. Now even if you try to swallow your saliva, you cannot. In order to even swallow your saliva, you need to push your tongue. Only when the tongue is pushed, then only you can swallow anything. So it has basically three roles. It helps in mixing of the food, it helps in tasting of the food, and it also helps in swallowing of the food. Right? So this is your first part of the alimentary canal. This is your mouth. It is a slit-like structure. You can see this. This is a slit-like structure. Okay? This is called as your mouth. The mouth opens into a cavity. This cavity is called as buccal cavity. The buccal cavity has teeth. Then it has palate on the roof, and floor में क्या होता है आपका tongue. ठीक है? So once this is the first part. Now that we have done the first part, that is the mouth and the buccal cavity, I just want to show you the diagram of the tongue. Why I am telling you this is because if you look at this diagram of the tongue, you will see that I just want to show you how the taste buds they look, just for your interest. See, there are so many types of taste bud. ये जो आपको circle में चीजें दिखाई दे रही है ना, these are your taste buds. Taste buds are of many types, and a different type of taste bud they give different taste. ठीक है, ये टेस्ट बड हम लोग डिटेल में 11-12 में पढ़ाते हैं, मेडिकल के लिए पढ़ाते हैं, बट दिस इज जस्ट फॉर योर इंटरेस्ट हाउ योर टंग लुक्स एंड हाउ द टेस्ट बड्स ऑन दिस टंग एक्चुअली दे लुक. ठीक है, सो फर्स्ट पार्ट इज डन, दैट इज योर माउथ. आई एम जस्ट शोइंग यू दिस इज द स्ट्रक्चर ऑफ योर टीथ. अगेन फॉर योर इंटरेस्ट, एक्चुअली टीथ का जो हिस्सा बाहर देखते हैं दैट्स वेरी स्मॉल. द लार्जर पार्ट ऑफ द टीथ चाइल्ड, the larger part of this teeth, if you see this like this, it is actually below अंदर में पाया जाता है. देखिए इसके नीचे की तरफ पाया जाता है. ठीक, एंड ये बहुत सारे जगह में बटा हुआ है. ऊपर वाले को हम लोग कहते हैं एनामल, उसके बाद होता है डेंटाइन विच इज द हार्डेस्ट पार्ट, देन उसके बाद ये पल्प कैविटी होता है, एंड दिस इज हाउ योर टूथ लुक्स. एक्चुअली द टूथ इज एक्चुअली एम्बेडेड इन स्ट्रक्चर्स कॉल्ड एज जॉज. आप जॉज देते हैं ना, तो ये जॉज में पाए जाते हैं. So these diagrams I have shared with you just to create an interest how your teeth looks, how your tongue looks, and how important your mouth is, with reference to your process of digestion. अच्छा, mouth के बाद जो next part है यहाँ पर in the alimentary canal, that is called as your pharynx. Right? Pharynx पे मैंने throat क्यों लिखा है? Because pharynx is actually found in the throat region only. So this part is called as your pharynx. Now what is pharynx? I want you to understand. Pharynx is the common opening for the mouth. ये देखो आपके मुंह से जो खाना जा रहा है, ये यहाँ पर आया. Look at this green part. Okay. Once again, I want you to see this diagram little big so that you can understand. Actually, हम क्या बताने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं. I hope now it is little bit more clear to you. अब आप इधर देखो, ये माउथ से जो खाना जा रहा है बेटा, ये इस ग्रीन पार्ट में आया, एंड नाक से जो रेस्पिरेटरी ट्यूब यहाँ से आपका गया यहाँ से गया नोज, ये दोनों एक कॉमन कैविटी में खुलते हैं. सो सी दिस इज योर नेजल कैविटी, एंड बोथ द नेजल फ्रॉम टिल हियर इट इज द नेजल एंड टिल हियर इट इज योर ओरल, एंड दे ओपन इनटू अ कॉमन कैविटी. दिस कॉमन कैविटी व्हिच इज शोन इन ग्रीन कलर ओवर हियर, दिस इज कॉल्ड एज योर pharynx. Right? So pharynx is basically the common passage for both food and air. जब आप air लेते हैं तो यहाँ आता है, food लेते हैं तो यहाँ आता है. यहाँ एक common cavity है, ये कॉमन कैविटी है. इस कॉमन कैविटी के बाद, दिस इज अ कॉमन कैविटी, इस कॉमन कैविटी के बाद दो ट्यूब आ जाते हैं. आगे वाला ट्यूब आपका रेस्पिरेटरी ट्यूब है और पीछे वाला ट्यूब आपका डाइजेस्टिव ट्यूब होता है. राइट? सो दिस फ्रॉम हियर वी विल हैव टू कैविटी. वन इज योर डाइजेस्टिव एंड इसके आगे there will be another tube that will be your respiratory. So from here we will have two tubes, but this is the common place, and this common place is called as pharynx. So I hope you understood what is pharynx, the next part. So first was your mouth, the next was the pharynx. Now this pharynx is going to lead into a very long tube like structure that is called as esophagus. दिस इज ऑल्सो कॉल्ड एज फूड पाइप, ठीक है, इसको गलेट भी बोलते हैं, इसको फूड पाइप भी बोलते हैं। दिस इज अ वेरी लॉन्ग पाइप, यू कैन सी दिस, इट इज अप्रोक्सीमेटली 25 सेंटीमीटर लॉन्ग, ऑलमोस्ट एक रूलर जितना, रूलर 30 सेंटीमीटर का होता है, राइट, इट इज लॉन्ग एंड यू कैन सी दिस दैट दिस लॉन्ग ट्यूब लाइक स्ट्रक्चर व्हिच एक्सटेंड्स बियॉन्ड द pharynx, this is called as your esophagus. Now one thing that is missing over here, I will just show you. यहाँ पर in our body, in human beings, we have a partition over here and this partition is called as diaphragm. Right? This partition is called as diaphragm. Diaphragm क्या है? ये केवल mammals में होता है और किसी में नहीं होता, right? And in mammals, this cavity is called the thoracic cavity. इसके नीचे होता है abdomen. You cannot see my entire body. So तो यहाँ एक partition पाया जाता है, at this level we have a partition. This partition is called as diaphragm. होता क्या है, ये esophagus जाता है और this esophagus will go, there is a diaphragm. इस diaphragm में वो छेद करता है, it pierces the diaphragm. You can see here, it pierces the diaphragm and diaphragm को pierce करने के बाद it enters the abdominal cavity. diaphragm के ऊपर वाले cavity को हम लोग कहते हैं thoracic cavity, right? इसको हम लोग कहते हैं thorax. This is called as a thoracic cavity. And diaphragm के नीचे वाले को हम लोग कहते हैं abdominal cavity. ये abdomen है, so we call it as abdominal cavity, right? So this diaphragm actually acts as a partition. This esophagus will make a hole, it pierces through the diaphragm and it opens into the abdominal cavity and then it dilates. Abdominal cavity में it will dilate and form the most dilated part of the digestive system, that is your stomach. ठीक है, तो फिर यहाँ पर ये आपका stomach बनाता है। अब आप बोलोगे मैम what is the function of this esophagus or the food pipe? Now what is the function? I will show you this diagram also. थोड़ा सा, as you know, I can show you the diagram थोड़ा. You will ask me, ma'am, what is the function of this esophagus or the food pipe? Now listen. हुआ क्या कि जो आपका thoracic cavity है, in this thoracic cavity we have the lungs, right? We have the lungs. So obviously stomach को जगह नहीं मिला. It is something like this. Suppose I take a class. So those students who come to the class first, वो तो आगे बैठ जाते हैं, तो obviously बाद वाले को कहाँ बैठना पड़ता है? They need to sit at the back. So something like this, the lungs came first. So obviously the stomach did not get a space here. So the stomach was found in the abdominal cavity. Now you are putting the food here. आप खाना यहाँ डाल रहे हैं and stomach जहाँ digestion होना है वो यहाँ है. So obviously you need a pipe to connect both of them, so that the mouth का food can be connected to the stomach. That pipe, it is nothing. It is just a connecting pipe. You must understand this. That connects the mouth with the stomach. Okay. Then what is the function of esophagus? I will tell you two things. One, the esophagus just has mucus coating. The mucus is something a little thick fluid को हम लोग mucus बोलते हैं. तो ये mucus से food को थोड़ा moist बना देता है because of the mucus. And second, it shows a phenomena called as peristalsis. It shows a phenomena called as peristalsis, and let me tell you that peristalsis is a very, very important question for your 10th examination. Now what is peristalsis? Peristalsis means हमारा जो gut है, digestive system है, it is constantly contracting like this and like this. This movement is called as peristalsis. अब देखो peristalsis को समझाने के लिए I will give you an example. Example ये है कि you have to take the example of a socks, say मोजा. Say I'll show you with the help of a socks. Say if this is a socks, it's a big socks, I want to wear it. So what do I normally do? I try to bring it all at one point. देखिए हम इसको ऐसे ले आते हैं. So once I have brought it like this, what happens? If I just put it here, immediately ये ऊपर चढ़ जाएगा. This is how it works. So in esophagus also what we do is, you have to imagine that the food has come over here, right? The food has come over here. Now if this esophagus moves upward like a socks, right? If this esophagus moves upward like a socks, what will happen? This portion will reach here, this portion will reach here, and then what happens? Peristalsis में दोनों तरह का movement होता है, ठीक? Both longitudinal and circular. Longitudinal में हमने क्या किया? ऐसे ऐसे करके एक जगह ले आए, ठीक? And then what will happen? It will push like this. तो जब ऐसे पुश करेगा, what will happen? The food will directly move from here to here because the esophagus has already been done like this. See, this is my long esophagus. See, this is my long esophagus. Here is my food. Here is my food. So what did I do? I first did it like this. Now what I will do? I will do it like this. So food will directly move from here to here because this much has already come up. ठीक है? So this movement where your muscles are moving like this and like this, like this, like this, then like this, like this, like this. This movement it actually helps to push the food forward. अब मैं बता दूं peristalsis केवल आपके esophagus में नहीं होता है, पूरे intestine में ही होता है. Otherwise, how will the food move through this long tube? So the tube is constantly undergoing, this phenomena called as peristalsis. ऐसे contract, ऐसे. This allows the food to actually pass through the entire gut. ठीक? So this peristalsis it starts right from the time of esophagus. So मैंने अभी आपको बताया, esophagus has two functions. One, it is just mucus coated, so it helps to moisten the food, and mucus की वजह से the food also slips very fast. And second, due to peristalsis, the food reaches the stomach in no time. Right? It does not secrete any digestive juice, hence it has no direct role in digestion. So this is also called as gullet or food pipe. As I told you, it is 25 centimeter long. So this is just, I am showing only the green part over here that represents your esophagus. See child, I have tried to show you a diagram of peristalsis. So see, this is the food mass. First my muscles will contract like this. Once they contract it like this, then what will happen? The food will push and then we are going to bring this upward. As a result, what will happen? The food will very easily move across your entire gut, including your esophagus. Okay? So we have done three parts. What are those? We have done mouth. Then mouth leads into pharynx. Pharynx leads into long tube-like structure called as esophagus, and this esophagus it pierces the diaphragm. I told you this esophagus will pierce the diaphragm and it will open into the largest part of your alimentary canal, also called as stomach. ठीक है, तो चलिए हम लोग stomach को देखते हैं. The stomach is the most distended part. Right? It is divided into a number of parts. ये आपको 11 में पढ़ना पड़ता है. This part is called as fundus. This part is called as the body. This is called as the pyloric part. ठीक है, food यहाँ पर आता है. यहाँ पर सबसे maximum duration का stay food का आपके stomach में होता है. Stomach में the food stays for the largest period. Once it is digested, then it will move to the next part, that is your small intestine. Now I want to tell you about another thing called as sphincter. The word sphincter has been mentioned in your NCERT, so that is a very, very, very important question. Now what is sphincter? You must have noticed here that मेरे भी यहाँ diagram में I am showing two sphincters. One I have written this is the esophageal sphincter, and यहाँ पर this I have named as esophageal sphincter, and this I have labeled as pyloric sphincter. First you must understand what is sphincter. See, you have to come to some imaginations. आपको कुछ चीजें समझनी होगी. This is your stomach. Stomach में खाना आ गया. Once the food is digested in the stomach will, do peristalsis. It will contract and the food will move where? आप बोलोगे, ma'am, it's so obvious that the food will move into the next part, that is your intestine. But my question is, beta, that when the stomach contracts, जब स्टमक कॉन्ट्रैक्ट करेगा तो स्टमक के ऊपर में भी एक पाइप है जिसको हम ईसोफेगस कहते हैं, और नीचे में एक पाइप है इंटेस्टाइन कहते हैं. Why will the food go into the intestine and not back into the esophagus? This is stomach. It contracted. Some food should go here, some food should go here. You just try it. You take a tube, you fill it with some stuff, you push it. You will see some will move here, some will move here. हिसाब से तो some food should go back into the esophagus, some should go ahead. But this never happens except in case of vomiting. When you vomit, then there is reverse peristalsis. That means the food, instead of going further, it goes back into the esophagus, and esophagus से आपका food बाहर आ जाता है, जिसको कहते हैं vomiting. That is not a normal type. That's a clinical error, that the food is coming out and it is going to the outside. But normally the food goes, it doesn't go back. Normally it doesn't go back. Why? Because the entire digestive system at strategic points, it has a structure called as sphincter. What is the sphincter? Sphincter is a special structure which is made up of circular muscles. Circular muscle मतलब muscle ऐसे circular form में रहता है, just like a rubber band. ठीक है, आपने बहुत सारे, now what happens is this muscle contracts like this. तो इसकी वजह से this mouth is very tightly closed. ऐसे tightly closed है, ठीक, and यहाँ पर भी ये tightly closed है. तो जब stomach will contract with pressure, the pressure is not sufficient. If something, you have a bag, right, and the bag has a elastic on the top such that the mouth is quite closed, right, so you require a lot of force to put your hand inside, right. So होता क्या है, because of this sphincter दोनों एंड में है, लेकिन कोई भी चीज जब आप ताकत लगाते हैं तो इस डायरेक्शन में better work करती है than the reverse one, right. So what happens, this sphincter will prevent the food from backflow. Now this sphincter is easier to open. इस साइड में प्रेशर आसानी से लगता है, इधर कम लगता है. So because of the pressure, that pressure is not sufficient enough to open this sphincter. So the food will not go back, but it is enough to put it here. ना जब duodenum में food आएगा तो duodenum से कभी back क्यों नहीं जाएगा, because of this sphincter. That means between every two organ there is a sphincter. This sphincter actually prevents the backflow of food along the alimentary canal, right. So with that we have done the next part, that is the stomach. So this was mouth, then pharynx, then we had esophagus, then we have the broadest part called as the sphincter, stomach. The stomach is divided into a lot of parts. It is this place where the food remains for the maximum time. It is guarded by sphincter on either sides. Sphincter is found between every two organ, and the function of the sphincter is to prevent backflow of food, right. Now this stomach will lead into the next part, and this part is called as your intestine. If you see here, stomach will lead into next part. This entire part is called as intestine. This intestine is divided into two parts. यहाँ से ये जो पतला वाला ट्यूब दिख रहा है, which means the green and the yellow portion, this actually is the small intestine. This is called as your small intestine, right? And this one, which is broader and pink in color, as you can see here, this part, this part, this part, this is called as your large intestine, right? This is called as your large intestine. This part, beta, as I told you, from here, from this green to entire yellow part, this is your small, this will continue to here, and फिर यहाँ से जो आपका part है, which is in pink, this is your large intestine. Now you can ask me, so let me draw this. This is your large intestine. Now you can ask me a question, because this question can come in your board exam as well. Then if you look at this diagram, the small intestine is longer in size. I told you the small intestine itself is approximately 2 to 2.5 meters long, right? This yellow part is longer and the pink part is small, right? Still, we call this as small intestine, which is actually longer, and the one which is longer we call it as the large intestine, the one which is intestine, right? So why is it so? Iska jawab sun lo. The one which is smaller in size is called large, and the one which is longer is called as small. Here the small and large intestine word has not come from the length but from the diameter. Iska diameter less hai. So here the diameter is less, right? So we call it as small intestine, and here the diameter is more, so we call it as large intestine, right? So first we will study the various parts of the small intestine, and then we will study the various parts of the large intestine. So let us first come to the small intestine. It is very clearly shown here. The small intestine is again divided into three parts. One is duodenum, jejunum and ileum, right? Now you will see this. The first part of the small intestine, which continues from the stomach, ये पीछे की तरफ भी है, and forms a C with the stomach. This part is called as duodenum. So let me draw it here. If this is my stomach, right? This first part which continues from the stomach and forms a C, this part is called as duodenum. Duodenum is that part जहाँ पर digestion finally complete हो जाता है. The digestion gets completed. Digestion completed. आप बोलोगे मैम, अगर digestion complete हो गया, तो what is the work of the remaining part? You cannot forget the point I told you in my previous class. And that point I told you that in holozoic nutrition there are 5 steps. The first step is ingestion. The second step is digestion. उसके बाद अभी 3 step तो बचा हुआ है. That is assimilation, absorption and excretion. It should have, sorry, egestion. So this should have been here. This ये तो बचा हुआ है ना. So absorption, digestion के बाद होता है. Next point is your absorption, right? Then is assimilation and then is digestion, right? So in the remaining part, the remaining functions take place, right? So digestion is completed where in this part called as duodenum. This duodenum will now extend into a very small part, next small part, and this small part is called as jejunum. Jejunum just connects the duodenum with the ileum, and the next part, which is actually highly coiled, which is the maximum coiled, है ना, जो सबसे बड़ा part है. You can see this maximum coiled part. Just let me remove the duodenum, and this is your duodenum and then the jejunum. And after this, ये जो आपको heavily coiled part आपको दिख रहा है, this part is actually called as ileum. ठीक है? So digestion completes in duodenum, and in ileum absorption of food takes place. खाने का absorption होता है, and jejunum just connects the two. It acts as a connector. So यहाँ पर digestion complete होगा, jejunum will complete, and यहाँ पर as you can see the ileum, if I would have drawn it little neatly, it will look like this. This is your ileum, and ileum में the third step, that is absorption of food, starts right from ileum. So this is about your next part, also called as small intestine. ठीक है? Small intestine क्या? I told you about the 3 parts. Now if you look at this part, this light color, that is your large intestine. So let us see how does the large intestine look. I have just taken out the large intestine. The large intestine is not large in size, it is actually larger in diameter. Now the place where the small intestine meets the large intestine, यहाँ पर small intestine meet करता है, उसके बाद the long intestine starts. There you find a finger-like process called as appendix. It is in this appendix, actually when there is infection, that is a process that leads to appendicitis. Is that clear? Now this will then, this first part, ये आपका यहाँ दिया नहीं है. The place where this small intestine, this was the small intestine, the coiled small intestine. The place where the small intestine meets the large intestine, वहाँ से एक finger-like process आता है, we call it as appendix. And the first part of it, this first part of it is called as cecum. It is called as cecum. Right? ये आपका यहाँ लेबल नहीं किया है. उसके ऊपर वाला जो पार्ट है बेटा, look at this. This part is called as colon. This remaining part is called as colon. This is the ascending limb of colon. This is the transverse limb of the colon, and this is the descending limb of the colon. So the third part is your, first part was your cecum, right? ये तो appendix छोड़ दो. The first part of large intestine was cecum. The second part is your colon. And this colon now opens into a, let me draw it here. It opens into a sac-like structure. This is called as rectum. This is the third part. यहाँ पर the undigested food or the fecal matter is stored, right? And then periodically it is shed to the outside through an opening called as anus, right? So this is how the large intestine looks. So let us see this large intestine once again. So I will have removed all the clutter. So the first part of the large intestine, this is called as cecum. What is the function of cecum? The cecum has a number of good bacteria that help in deriving certain vitamins and minerals from the food. That is the cecum. Then this is the colon. The upper, this part, the next part is colon, and the third or the last part, that is called as your rectum. Now what is the function of large intestine? Cecum में मैंने बोला there is good bacteria, Then what is the function of colon? मैंने आपको बताया था small intestine में, ileum में, the food was absorbed, right? I told you there was absorption of food. So in large intestine there is absorption of water. Maximum water को हम reabsorb कर लेते हैं because our body needs water, so that the fecal matter which releases, it's not in liquid form, it is semi-solid form. So it is maximum reabsorption of water takes place. Once न्यूट्रिएंट अब्सॉर्ब हो गया, पानी अब्सॉर्ब हो गया, अब ऑब्वियसली केवल क्या बच गया, कचरा बच गया. दैट इज कॉल्ड योर फीकल मैटर व्हिच इज स्टोर्ड टेम्परेरी इन द रेक्टम एंड देन इट इज डिस्चार्ज्ड टू द आउटसाइड थ्रू दिस ओपनिंग कॉल्ड एज एनस. Right? So this is the structure of your large intestine. So with that we have completed the structure of the entire क्या बोलते हैं digestive system. Now before I proceed, I want to see this. This is again a very important question for your school exam. And what is that? The length of the intestine. जो अभी हम पढ़ा रहे थे आपको. This intestine, it varies from organism. Normally those organisms which are herbivores, यानी कि जो घास खाते हैं, right? Who are herbivores, they have a very large and coiled intestine. Why? Because the herbivores, they eat plants, and the plants are made up, have cell wall, right? You know that plants have cell wall, and the cell wall is made up of cellulose, right? So cellulose digestion requires more time and energy, so there the digestive system is long. But if you come to a carnivore, look at here, this is a carnivore, they eat animals, right? They eat animal diet. Now if you look at an animal diet, beta, animals, they do not have a cell wall, they just have a plasma membrane. आपको पता है animal cell, right? They do not have cell wall, no cell wall. So obviously the digestion of animal tissue is easier, so the digestive system is quite reduced as compared to that of herbivore. ये आपके लिए बहुत important 1 mark का question आएगा. Why is the intestine of the herbivore larger than that of carnivores? Right? Once we have done the alimentary canal, now we will come to the associated glands. I told you there are 3 glands. First, let us look at it. The first gland that is present in your mouth, and that is called as the salivary gland. We have 3 pairs of salivary gland, pair wise, because इस side में 3 है, इधर में भी 3 है. So we have 3 pairs of salivary gland, and if you can see this gland is called as the parotid gland, right? This you need not know the name. This is the sublingual and this is the submandibular. I'm just showing this just for your interest. And these glands, they make saliva, and all of them, they release the saliva into your mouth. ये तीनों glands saliva को mouth में release करते हैं. What is the function of saliva? I will teach you in the process of digestion. When I teach you the process of digestion, then I will teach you what is the function of salivary gland and saliva. So this is also first gland. Now let us come to the next 2 glands. The next 2 gland is your liver, and let me tell you that liver is the largest gland of your body. You must know. This is ऐसे भी general knowledge के लिए भी आपको पता होना चाहिए. This is the largest gland of your body. Now what does liver do? You know that liver secretes bile juice. Right? What is the role of bile juice in digestion? Again, I told you, when I teach you the process of digestion, then I will tell you. Once the liver makes the bile juice, it stores this bile juice in a sac-like structure called as gallbladder. Right? It stores it in a sac-like structure like the gallbladder. Whenever you eat fatty food, then the bile is not released directly from the this liver. In fact, it is released from the gallbladder. Just see this. ये gallbladder से जाता है and कहाँ खुलता है? Duodenum में. I told you that duodenum is the last part जहाँ digestion होता है. So liver अपने secretion को, salivary gland puts its secretion where? In the mouth. Similarly, the liver puts its digestive juice where? It puts its digestive juice in the duodenum. Right? What is the function of this bile juice? We will discuss it later. Now there is another gland over here. You can see this, and this gland is called as the pancreas. Right? The pancreas also secretes pancreatic juice, which is used for digestion, and this has a duct called as the pancreatic duct. So look at it here carefully. So this is your gallbladder ka duct, right? This is your pancreas ka duct, and both the ducts, they now come into a common, this is a common opening for both of them. Okay, this is a common opening, and then both of them, they will pour their secretion into the duodenum where the food will finally be digested, right? So you have three glands. The salivary gland, they secrete saliva in the mouth. The liver makes bile juice, which is stored in the gallbladder and then released in the duodenum. The pancreas, it actually makes pancreatic juice, which is also important for digestion. Now both these ducts, they will open into a common duct and they will release the secretion in the duodenum, even the pancreas, and finally the digestion will be completed over there, right? So let me quickly revise what I have taught you, the structure of digestive system once. We have covered few important questions here as well. First, there is a mouth. It is a slit-like opening. This opens into buccal cavity, which has palate, tongue and teeth. This will open into a common passage for nose and mouth called as pharynx. The pharynx leads into a long tube-like structure. This tube-like structure is called as the esophagus. The esophagus will pierce the diaphragm and it will open into a long sac-like structure called as the stomach. The stomach will lead into intestine. The first part of the intestine is big and very small in diameter, highly coiled. This is called as the small intestine. The small intestine will eventually lead into a broader yet shorter part. This is called as the large intestine. The large intestine via rectum and anus leads to opens to the outside. We have three glands. One gland is found at the mouth. This is called as salivary gland. The second gland here is just below the diaphragm. That is called your liver. And the third is between the stomach and the intestine. And this is called your pancreas. So this alimentary canal along with digestive gland, they actually form the human digestive system. I hope the structure of the human digestive system is very clear to you. Now that you understand this structure, I am telling you the function part will become extremely easy, which I will be taking up in my next class, and only in my next class after completion of the entire portion I will go through your NCERT portion. 3 questions I have already told you. What is peristalsis? That will come. Why is it that the herbivore and carnivore ka intestine is of different length? That will come, and some more points have already been covered. So in my next lecture we will discuss the process. Till then, just revise this topic once again. We'll meet tomorrow once again. Till then, good luck and goodbye.